The Bug Bucks Podcast!
It's said that building a business is like, jumping off a cliff and building an airplane on the way down. It's no different when you're hiring people, and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail. But for me, it's like, I would rather fail trying to build my company by being proactive than failing in ways where it's like, man, we need another person. Because now that you're on the other side of this and you've seen kind of what can happen if you don't hire someone when you need them, how would you recommend to somebody else that's maybe thinking, man, I don't have the money for this role. I don't know how to make it work. I kind of know that we need some help, but how do you help them connect the dots? What would you say to them?
Going from 1 tech to 2 techs to 3, that's a scary time.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, we're at X amount of revenue. It's fine. I really think I need this guy, but how can I afford it? Every single time we've pulled the trigger, it's always worked out.
Is there a process that they should go through to determine exactly when they need a technician? Or is it more of a, hey, you know that you need somebody now or you're going to need them very, very soon?
I think if you think you need it, you probably need it. Say you have, 5 technicians and you're like, yeah, we don't have enough room to add a bunch of starts because we're all super busy. Well, yeah, you'll get a 6th guy and maybe you only need him for 1 or 2 starts a day right now, but now you'll start saying yes to things that you would have said no to before. If you find the right person, you can find a position for them. Having good people, you can teach them a skill. If we just bring in a tech that's experienced, it's always good to have fresh eyes because they're going to be honest. They're like, hey, why do you do that? What this so-and-so is training me to do this? Like, this doesn't make sense. This new service manager was an excellent hire for us. This year, we're up 34% year over year. Last year, we were up 26%, something like that.
Incredible. Hey, everyone. This is the Bug Bucks Podcast. I'm Allan Draper. Glad to be with you today. I know you got a million things going on. It is my job to make sure that your time is well spent listening to this episode. Make sure you listen all the way to the end. A lot of times that's where the good stuff is. Before we get into it, great guest today. Excited to chat about a topic that I don't know that we've covered before. Before we get there, right now the school group for Bug Bucks Plus is free for the first 7 days. I just completed a top to bottom course. I cover everything from marketing to financial statements to mergers and acquisitions to hiring, finding technicians, all those things. That course will be released probably in the next few weeks. But make sure to check that out. Also, Bug Bucks Con 27 tickets just released to the public. VIP, I think we still have a few spots. Make sure you get those. Those will go first. February 24th through the 26th in San Diego. Don't miss that. All right, today I'm glad to announce I got a buddy of mine on the show today, Jason Woodbury. He's a husband, dad, entrepreneur, and lifelong learner who loves taking on ambitious projects. When he's not working, you'll probably find him building something, training for an endurance event, exploring new technology, or learning a new skill. He's passionate about personal growth, family, and having honest conversations about the challenges and rewards of pursuing huge goals. Jason enjoys sharing what he's learned along the way and hopes others can take away practical ideas that they can apply in their own lives. So with that, Jason, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Allan. I'm happy to be here.
Is this your first time on Bug Bucks?
This is my first time on any sort of podcast.
No way. Your first podcast?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, no, you and I have been friends for, 6+ years, I feel like.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. It's been a while, yeah.
It's funny how, because I don't really produce the show. I have people that help me, and they'll choose guests, and they'll ask me every once in a while, but usually I'm not thinking about that at the time, and so I'm like, I don't know. And then I saw you on my calendar, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm sure he's been on a few times, but apparently not. So welcome, man. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be fun.
You have a unique story because you were living in Florida and now you're living in Idaho, talking about taking on ambitious projects, both that and the house that you're building. I want to hear a little bit about your story because it's so unique. And then I want to dive into the implications of that story for your pest control company, because even though no one has a story like you guys have, not that I've heard, we all have something where there's a crossover between our family lives or our personal lives and our pest control businesses. So let's start there. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up moving from Florida to Idaho.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I've been thinking about this recently, that, looking back on things, I think a lot of times we're prepared in ways that we don't understand way before we need to be prepared for them. So we moved to Idaho. It's been about 2.5 years ago. I'm originally from Idaho, but my wife's sister and her husband both passed away from cancer. And just before she passed, she asked us to move up here to take care of her kids. The plan was always that we would take the kids, but they were going to move down to Florida with us. And again, just, a few weeks or months before she died, she called and was like, "Hey, I just don't want my kids to have to move. They've gone through a lot. Is there any way you guys can move up here to take care of them instead of them moving to you?" And so what's interesting about us taking on her 4 kids, because we have 4 of our own, we did foster care when I was like 7 until the time I was like 21. My parents did foster care, and we had like 150 kids that lived with us over those like 14 years or whatever it was.
Did you say 150?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So some of them were long-term. We had a couple lived with us for 3 or 4 years. Like we had one girl that when she was 11, her parents gave her up for adoption, but not either of her sisters, just her.
What?
And we did a lot of like emergency stuff. Like we had a baby that came to us that was like 6 months old. The dad was like cooking spaghetti and the baby was crying, and he lost his temper and put the kid in the boiling spaghetti water. And he had like 3rd-degree burns all up and down his body. So like, I feel like I was prepared. I saw a lot of really devastating, difficult things through the foster care system when I was a kid. And then taking on my nieces and nephews, like they came from, it wasn't that as bad of a situation, but they've been through a lot. Between losing both of their parents and just some other stuff that we don't need to get into. But
so what was the time frame between the time that your brother-in-law died and then your sister-in-law?
He passed away in December of, I think it was 22, and she passed in September of 23.
So not even a year.
No, it was like 9 months.
Oh my gosh. In 9 months, they lose both their parents.
Yeah.
And so you guys, prior to this conversation between your wife and her sister, you guys were planning on, you knew you were going to be their guardians. You figured you'd take them down. Were you living in Fort Myers at the time?
Yeah, we were living in Fort Myers.
Okay. So Gulf side of Florida, for the people that don't know, it's actually one of the most beautiful places in the world that I've ever been to, that side of Florida. And man, that's incredible. What was and this isn't super pest control related. It's more like the thought process of an owner with other responsibilities. Because you're juggling quite a few things here. Now you're not just juggling your own personal life with all of its different facets. You're juggling your business and your kids' interests with these other kids, your nieces and nephews' interests. How did you come to that decision to move to Idaho, considering, hey, what about my kids? What about my business?
Yeah, that was a really, really tough decision. Our kids were super upset about it. When they were younger, we traveled, or not traveled a lot. We moved around a lot. I did door-to-door pest control, and then I started my insulation business and then I got into solar, and so we moved to California, and then we moved to Utah. We did a lot of moving, and when we moved to Florida, we were like, yeah, this is it. We're not moving. Like, we bought a house. We planned on being there forever, and we were there for 6 years or so, and it was really hard because our kids really were upset. They hated us for the fact that we were forcing them to move. But kind of my thought on it was, our house wasn't big enough to bring in four more kids. And so we were going to have to move one way or the other. And if we were moving to a house we could afford with 8 kids in Florida, we were going to have to move out a ways from the city. So we were going to be in a new school district. We're going to be in a new ward for church. And it's like, well, if we're going to be doing that move, I'd rather go back to Idaho anyway.
So getting into the pest control of it, what were some of your initial concerns? So this is prior to you guys moving. You're going through all of it, all these considerations, making all these plans. What were your main concerns about just your pest control company?
We did not have any management at all. So I was, branch manager, service manager. I was doing from a service side of things, I was doing everything. My business partner, Dre, handles more of the sales and marketing side of things, but I was doing all of the training new technicians. We had 2 locations. We have a location in Fort Myers and then another, I'll say, satellite office in Orlando. At the time, I think we had 2 guys in Orlando and probably 6 guys in Fort Myers, Naples area. But I was doing the bulk. When we'd hire a tech, I would be the one doing all the training. I would be the one doing all the Wednesday training meetings, checking out chemicals, quality checks. Like I was heavily involved in quality and service and training. And so that was the biggest, I'll say, difficulty or biggest question was like, hey, if I leave and I'm no longer here physically present to look my guys in the eyeballs and have a conversation and build the relationship with them, how do we do this? So I think that was the biggest transition that we've had to make. Gotcha.
So what was that conversation like with Dre when you told him?
He was super supportive. I told him, I mean, we knew several months in advance, like, because she passed in September, but we knew basically in August. And we didn't move until January. So we had a few months to try to prepare for it.
Okay.
But it was in August, I called him because he lives in Orlando. I just called him like, hey man, like he knew the situation that we would be taking the kids previous to that, I think. But it was a big change of, hey, we're not bringing them here. We're going there.
Yeah.
And he was super, super supportive. He's like, hey, we'll figure it out. Whatever we need to do, we'll figure it out.
Wow, man. Dude, having a partner like that it's crucial. A lot of times when they'll ask me what I'm looking for, if I'm looking for a new, like if somebody's wanting me to invest in their company or I'm looking for a business partner for whatever reason, I tell them that the first thing that I want to figure out is whether they're the type of person that regardless of what happens one day, the next day they wake up and they say, hey, let's get back to it. We'll figure it out. And it's not always easy. And especially because everyone goes into a partnership with expectations of what they're going to do, but also what their partner's going to do. And so it's difficult, right? Man, Dre's a better man than me, because I would have been like, well, dude, this was the expectation for the business. And hopefully I would have come around, but I definitely wouldn't have been that quick to it. So you guys figure that out. You have that conversation. What do you decide about the management? What's the first move you make? What's the plan while you're anticipating this move? As soon as you find out that you're not indeed going to stay in Florida, that once you make the decision, hey, instead of that, we're actually going to go to Idaho. What do you guys do to address that specific issue of not having boots on the ground in terms of leadership in Florida?
Yeah, well, and so Dre and I we're 50-50 owners. Mm-hmm. We're very opposite when it comes to a lot of like our personality and our beliefs and strategy. Like we are very, very opposite from each other on a lot of things. So if we don't agree on something, we just don't make any changes. right? We're like, hey, I see this way, you see this way. If we can't agree, we'll just keep it as it is. And that was something I was like, hey, we need a manager. And he was like, well, I don't think we do. I don't think we're big enough. We can't afford it. And I was like, I felt pretty strongly we needed one. He felt pretty strongly we didn't. And said, well, we're not going to, if we can't agree to it, we'll just keep it as it is and we'll see how it goes without anything. So that's how we proceeded. We took actually 3 of our more experienced guys and gave them like one of our techs. We said, okay, we're gonna have you in charge of our Wednesday meetings. So we want you doing training and running the meeting. We had another guy that we said, hey, we want you doing all the inventory. And then I think it was a third guy. We said, hey, we want you doing all like truck inspections and making sure trucks are going. So like we paid them a little bit extra to handle like that one extra responsibility. It was okay, but it was really fragmented and kind of without the leadership there, we definitely struggled. And it took us probably a year and a half to really see how big of an impact that made as from a quality perspective. We did hire a guy that we said, okay, you're going to be the service manager. And I think he was our service manager for so this is a year after I moved. We brought him in as a service manager, or promoted him, I should say. And he was there for about 6 months and then he quit. And when he left, we had a really good exit interview and he was like, hey, he told us all the things we did wrong from his perspective. And he was right on a lot of it. But that was one of the things he was like, we need it. We need a dedicated service manager that doesn't have to be out like running a route. And we had him like doing a lot of starts and running a route. And he was so busy with other stuff, he couldn't really do his responsibilities as a manager. So when he left, that's when we're like, yeah, we're to the point we definitely need a figurehead, a leader that is not out in the field doing, starts and acting primarily as a tech.
Here's the problem I kept seeing in this industry. Pest control companies pouring money into a website and some ads and basically getting nothing back. Because most agencies build you a site that looks nice and then they call it a day. That's not what we do at Lizard. We build what's called smart sites. It's not just SEO for old school Google. It's built for how people actually search now. AI overviews, voice search, the whole shift is happening. On top of all that, they handle paid search, paid social, branding, email, the whole growth engine, tailored specifically to home service businesses like pest control, not some cookie cutter template. If your marketing feels like a black box right now, no clear reporting, no real communication, that's exactly what we fixed. You get a dedicated team and numbers that you actually see and understand. Head to lizardmarketing.co and tell them Allan sent you. So when you were going through this, obviously this is new for you guys. This wasn't the plan. That's kind of business in a nutshell. It's, hey, I'm going to open my doors and then we're going to see what happens, right? We're going to make plans and then adjust. This is interesting because the parallel here is not, hey, maybe I have a sister-in-law who passes. I have to go take care of the kids in a different state. The parallel is I'm trying to get more efficient with my company. I don't want to hire this leader because of the increased expense. Like, I can see it from both of your perspectives. Like, I can see what Dre was saying. Because it's so tough to just not have that expense and then all of a sudden you have it, and without increased revenue, what would you recommend?
A manager needs to have a pretty, to get a good one, you need a pretty good salary. And for not planning ahead and budgeting for it, it's really hard to be like, hey, let's throw out, a whole bunch of money every month that we're not prepared to spend. Well, where does that come from? So I saw his perspective as well. And so it was like, I think it's important that we do it, but we'll see how it goes and then make changes as necessary. I
So
know one thing when we first started, I think we were overreactive to a lot of things. We'd have something happen. We're like, oh, we need to change this whole process. We need to change this whole thing. And
Yeah.
we were always like making these big changes. I think we changed our technicians' pay like 3 times in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
And of course they hated it, but after the fact, looking back, we're like, yeah, we can't be like, we can't just be so overreactive. Like we see, hey, there's a problem with this thing. It's like, well, sometimes there's a problem with every system we have, right? There's a weakness with every software that, that's out there. So unless it's going to be significantly better, let's maybe live with the problem and let it sit until we can really come up with a good solution. And so we've done that a little bit more of like, rather than being super overreactive to every little thing, like, well, let's just let it sit and see if this is as big of a deal, or are we just upset about something and it'll smooth out by itself.
Gotcha. Let's talk about that a little bit from, let's say there's a pest control owner and he's been the branch manager and they're getting to the phase where he needs some help in leadership, but he doesn't know for sure what he needs or like doesn't know that he can pay for that role yet. Now that you're on the other side of this and you've seen kind of what can happen if you don't hire someone when you need them, what do you recommend? How would you have changed, knowing what you know now, how would you have changed your thought process? I guess you already were of the opinion that you should hire somebody, but how would you recommend to somebody else that's maybe thinking, man, I don't have the money for this role. I don't know how to make it work. I kind of know that we need some help, but how do you help them connect the dots? What would you say to them?
Well, it's funny, again, looking back versus being in the moment, it's so easy to see.
Yeah.
Going from 1 tech to 2 techs to 3, that's a scary time. You're like, hey, we're at X amount of revenue. It's fine. I really think I need this guy, but how can I afford it? Every single time we've pulled the trigger, it's always worked out. I mean, we went through 4 or 5 like SEO marketing companies, and it's like, we just couldn't get the reporting we wanted. We all, everyone knows the headaches of all of that. And we had tried a bunch, and it was like, oh, these guys are recommended, and we're like, but the numbers were wrong, and we couldn't get answer from them, and so finally we're like, we hired a marketing person. We're like, we cannot afford this. There's no way we can afford this. This is so expensive. Well, guess what? They're so much better by having an in-house marketing director that we're getting all of the data. We can make better decisions. Like every time we've questioned do we need a new tech? We get a new tech, and all of a sudden we're doing an extra $20,000 in revenue that's filling their route. Same thing with the branch manager. Like they take off more things off of your plate as an owner that allows you to focus on the things that will help you grow your business.
Yeah. This reminds me, somebody asked Barbara Cochran from Shark Tank. She was a New York State real estate mogul, broker, all of that. And she would always say that she would have offices with empty desks for future real estate agents. And they would ask her like, hey, how do you justify that expense? It's really expensive in New York to have unused desks. And that's the corollary to what we're saying here, right? Like, hey, we're going to hire somebody. We need them, but we don't like, sometimes they have to work into this full-time position, right? We need maybe 20 hours or 30 hours. Maybe we don't need a full person, a full tech or whatever. And she would always say, no matter how many desks I end up with being vacant, they always seem to fill pretty quickly. And it's kind of similar to what you're saying. Like, hey, even though we didn't have the money to pay for a particular role, once we hired for that role, it seemed to resolve itself somehow.
Yeah, well, I think what happens is, and specifically in our business, there's things that need to get done, and there's things with urgency, right? What's that? I don't even remember what it's called, but there's like urgent and important, right?
Exactly.
Important but not urgent. It's like there's some really, really important things that just don't get done when you don't have the people. And we've seen over and over again, like for us, collections is really important. But like someone, like we had an office manager who she fell and broke her arm and leg, and she was out for 3 months. It's like, she's gone. Like, well, we're able to get all of the really urgent things done, but there's a lot of important things that didn't get done while she was out. And for us, one of the big important things that we always falls to the wayside is collecting past due balances. And that's a really, really important thing, because the longer you go without collecting money, the more likely they are to cancel. And so when you're short-staffed in the office, for example, like, yeah, you can get phones answered and you can get the scheduling done. You can get all of the most urgent things done. But now we're going to be canceling more customers because we don't do a good enough job of getting their money. And since we can't get the money, we've got to cancel them. It's like I think there's a lot of things that don't get finalized until you're like, yeah, I'm going to hire this person. Then all of a sudden, like, they always have a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
You needed them and didn't know it.
Hey guys, Allan here with BugBucks. I wanted to personally invite you to BugBucks Con 2027. One of my favorite things about BugBucks Con is that it's not just another conference where you sit in a room and take notes. It's where pest control owners come together, share ideas, build relationships, and learn from people who are actually in the trenches running businesses.
The introductions, even at the table or alone, are unbelievable. We've got all walks of life. Pest control companies doing millions of revenue per year, all the way down to me starting in 2 weeks, right? So I think what fascinates me the most is there's a lot of competitors in here. They all want to help each other out. Everybody's willing to talk about anything and everything they're doing, what's working, what's not working. Jokingly, I am drinking through a fire hose.
Whether you're trying to grow your company, improve your team, increase profitability, or just connect with other owners who understand the challenges that you face, this event is for you. We're bringing together some incredible speakers, partners, and pest control professionals for what is going to be our biggest BugBucks Con yet. Tickets are available now, and I'd love to see you there. Head to go.bugbucks.com/registration to grab your spot. You know, people ask me quite a bit, like, hey, how do I know when I need another technician? And we grew Proof a little differently. We were always ahead of it. So I'd rather have a technician that wasn't, working the entire time that we were paying him versus having more jobs than we have the technician space for. And so that's a little different, but people, and I get it, they're nervous. Like, hey, I don't need a full-time tech right now. Would you recommend to them, like, hey, is there a process that they should go through to determine exactly when they need a technician? Or is it more of a, hey, you know that you need somebody now, or you're going to need them very, very soon. Just kind of do it. Like, is there this element of faith involved where it's like, you just gotta believe that eventually that route will be full, that you'll catch back up, and it's better than the alternative.
I think if you think you need it, you probably need it, because it'll fill up. Like when you're talking about technicians, when you just have more availability, it's just easier to take on more jobs. When you're, say you have, 5 technicians, and you're like, yeah, we don't have enough room to add a bunch of starts because we're all super busy. Well, yeah, you'll get a 6th guy, and maybe you only need him for 1 or 2 starts a day right now, but now you'll start saying yes to things that you would have said no to before. It'll fill up. At least that's what we've always found.
I like that. I like that perspective. That's how we grew at Proof. It was, and especially if it was a good tech. If there was somebody that we're like, wow, we don't really have a spot, but this is an incredible person. you move on them because that person will more than compensate for what, what they're doing for the company. So, well, dude,
I think
hey,
one thing that Dre and I talk about is, and this isn't anything we've made up, it's just we bring it up, is if you find the right person, you can find a position for them. If like having good people, you can teach them a skill.
I love it. Well, that's the message that for the pest controller that's listening, that's it. Like and when I talk to people and we do one-on-ones with our Bug Bucks Plus school community, where I meet with individuals on a one-on-one basis, what I've come to find out is it's less of me telling them what to do than it is them already knowing and me just encouraging them to do it. So this is your sign if you're looking for one. You know what you have to do, and it's usually like, hey, I'm going to solve a problem with who, not how. I'm going to solve it with an individual. And sometimes you have to take that leap of faith. It's said that building a business is like, jumping off a cliff and building an airplane on the way down. It's no different when you're hiring people, and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail. But for me, it's like, I would rather fail trying to build my company by being proactive than failing in ways where it's like, man, we need another person. Because what you're doing when that happens is you're affecting the rest of your team, which you said, like, hey, that's some of the feedback that we got. So, well, hey, as we're wrapping up, Jason, let me know, give me a summary. We're now, what, 2.5 years or so? Where are you guys? How's the business doing? How did everything end up? Do you have any regrets? Are there some things that you did that you're glad you did? How do we tie up the end of this story?
Yeah, so I'll say there's kind of two answers to that. From a growth perspective, I mean, we've grown so much more, and surprisingly, our business is so much more profitable since I left.
Same thing happened at Proof, by the way, when I left.
Yeah. So it's like the opposite, but there are some practical things of like, there's definitely been some struggles from a quality side of things. We brought on a guy in Orlando that was, we brought on as a service manager. He's with us for a year, and just, I mean, he kind of destroyed that branch. So, we ended up demoting him, and then we ended up firing him after that. Because we found out he was telling customers, and then he was telling and training our techs that we don't de-web on every service. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, that's just how I was trained. I'm like, no, it's not. I trained you. But without me being there in person, like, and not having excellent systems. So that's been a really hard lesson, where we just haven't had excellent systems on the quality. We lost a lot of customers. Some of our techs got really complacent in that office. Maybe 2 or so months ago, we brought in a new service manager for that area, and fresh eyes are always good. Even as if we just bring in a tech that's experienced, it's always good to have fresh eyes, because they're going to be honest. They're like, hey, why do you do that? What, this so-and-so is training me to do this. Like, this doesn't make sense. So this new service manager was an excellent hire for us. He's like, I'm getting this from this guy, this from this guy. Like, yeah, this is bad. And we're like, yeah, we knew it was bad, but we didn't know how bad. So now he's really proactive and sees a lot of things. And so, again, to answer your question, it's been good and bad. From a quality, it's really brought to the forefront the systems that we were lacking. And also, by me kind of getting out of the way, it allows us to rely on other people and let them grow as well, which we've seen is astounding results. I think this year we're up 34% year over year. Last year we were up 25%. 26%, something like that.
Incredible.
So 2.5 years, like we're just previous to that, we were, 12 to 15, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the last 2 years we've grown significantly.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. It's a testament to people trying to get out of the truck, right? Or people trying to get out of the office or whatever the owner's trying to get out. You kind of got forced out, right? Due to familial obligations and responsibilities. But sometimes we need to get out of our own way, whether that's forced or voluntary. So, impressive story, man. I've kind of been following along. I remember, it was at a Pest World when you told me. Was that Hawaii?
That was Hawaii. Yeah. Because Boston was the hurricane. And then Hawaii was the next year.
That's right. Boston Pest World was Hurricane Ian on the Gulf side. And then Hawaii. We're going back to Boston. I just found that out yesterday. So this year, Pest World in Dallas. Next year, so 2027, Pest World's back in Boston. So coming full circle on that. But hey, man, congratulations on the success. I know you guys have really had your hands full the last couple of years. I'm impressed with how you've handled it. And anyway, man, you've got a bunch of people rooting for you, and I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for all your advice. Thanks for the lessons. Hopefully the listener, myself included, we can learn to, how to better manage our team and kind of bet on ourselves a little bit. That's what it comes down to. How do we bet on ourselves in the right way when we need to make those key hires? So
yeah, I'll just, one last thing is, I had a lot of help. Me and Dre both have had a lot of help with our business. We've had a lot of mentors that are significantly more successful than we've ever been.
for sure.
Having a good partner that's supportive. Of course, we've had our issues, we've had our problems, but having an understanding person where you can work through it. It's just like a marriage, right?
Very similar.
Things are happening, and they always will. If you think they won't, you're sadly mistaken. Things will come up in every relationship. So having someone that is willing to and wants to work on it together is important. But having mentors, we just had so many people that have helped us. And so, Bug Bucks and just the online resources, they're amazing. And hopefully I can help, with this, that I can help someone else grow their business like I've been helped in the past. I'm
sure, man. There's a lot that I've learned or that I've been reminded of, especially today. So, incredible episode. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Obviously, rooting for you. Wish you nothing but success. Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bug Bucks podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please show your support by subscribing and leaving us an honest 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next episode.